This is a very special young lady. She actually came to us almost a year ago with a fantastic idea to launch a program that would pair up shelter dogs and cats with veterans who are returning from active duty with post-traumatic stress disorder or brain injury. And she had this idea because unfortunately she had lived through the hell that comes with having a partner who returns from overseas, and they've seen the things that they've seen and they cannot cope, and there's nobody better to share that story and how this program came into being than Megan Morseth.
I don't normally write things down for my speeches. I sort of felt like I had to tonight, so please forgive me for reading a bit. But there are some statistics here that are important, and I want to get them right. 1 in every 4 veterans returning from Iraq and Afghanistan suffer from moderate to severe PTSD. There are approximately 350,000 documented cases of traumatic brain injury, but it's estimated that an additional 350,000 veterans are suffering without ever being properly diagnosed. 18 veterans attempt suicide every day due to the unbearable stressors related to combat. The unemployment rate for veterans is more than double the national average. And veterans make up the fastest growing population in our nation's prisons, the vast majority of which have been convicted for nonviolent crimes. In prison, there is no help for PTSD or TBI, yet over 60% of those veterans incarcerated suffer from these illnesses and the addictions that accompany them. My family has become all too knowledgeable on these statistics. My husband, Justin, was an infantry officer and platoon leader during the Iraq invasion in 2003. I was one of the lucky ones who received my soldier home, solid, in one piece, no scars or burns, no wounds visible. And I couldn't help but fall to my knees in grateful prayer. I couldn't find an explanation for the hundreds who didn't return home at all, but to question God right then at that moment that I felt an honest miracle seemed blasphemous. So I ignored the pain of the rest, if only temporarily, in order to celebrate second chance of life. But what the lucky ones like me so quickly learned is that which we can't see will take down all that we know. The fissures snaking our way through the souls of our men, the scars toughening the affection of their hearts. Those are the wounds that will quickly soak up the happy memories of the past and lurch us forward into an awkward, startling, and angry future. This is what my soldier now knows. He knows the stench of rotting bodies. He knows the sound of the still alive begging for last rites. He knows the vivid pain of being helpless, as well as the thudding reality of brutal strength. And this is what he now fears, that all this knowledge will never cease, that instead it might creep up and create the personal demons, the kind that might bring the killing fields home, the kind that will surely set him apart from those destined for heavens, because my husband fears that God doesn't distinguish based on which flag you fly. Little was immediate or obvious when Justin came home. He changed. He suddenly needed to take his hunting knife to the bathroom with him at night. He awoke from nightmares, nearly paralyzed. He smiled a lot less. But he continued on. He got up every morning. He got a good civilian job and then an even better one. We had our children, and he was not only an able, but adept father. We were in motion, and as the laws of physics state, an object in motion will stay in motion unless acted on by an unstable force. What I didn't know was that such a force was building stronger and more powerful in Justin every day, and every year added to the solid bricks of the wall that he would soon crash hard into. The fall was horrible, it was quick, and it was nasty. It was no surprise to learn that Justin had PTSD. What was a shock to learn 7 years after his return home was his diagnosis of traumatic brain injury. We were also told that this damaged brain doesn't function well on psychiatric medications, and that such a thing isn't uncommon with TBI. He'd been given 7 different medications in as many years, and the side effects were awful and grew continuously worse. We did ask for help, but that help mainly came in the form of a cursory appointment and a quickly written script. Through all of this, it seemed there was a singular light that continued to shine. We had a rescue dog, a husky named Samson. He had a sixth sense about my husband. When Justin's anxiety rose or his anger began to grow out of control, Samson would push his soft body into Justin, and he'd snuggle his muzzle under Justin's hand. When our son was born in 2006 and Justin held him for the first time, instead of feeling the joy of new fatherhood, he had vivid flashbacks of the dead and dying children in Iraq. He disappeared for hours. Only years later, in a therapy session, did I find out that Justin had holed himself up in our basement, determined to permanently end his pain. It was our sweet dog's constant and unwavering presence that pulled Justin through. I am convinced that Samson saved Justin's life. It took near tragic circumstances, several arrests, and the unbelievably generous help of family and friends for him to finally get real help. Provided with consistent PTSD therapy and removed from his slew of medications, my husband is recovering. It was right around then that we rescued a silly lab Great Dane mix named Lucy. And I've told people again and again that Samson no doubt carried us through the storm, but it was sweet Lucy who brought out the sun. She became Justin's shadow, and her playful exuberance seemed to slowly return my husband to joy. Justin tells me he can tell Lucy anything, and she doesn't judge. She just snuggles closer. She listens without expression, leans her calming weight into him, and measures her breathing with his. We lost a lot during Justin's struggles. We lost our savings in legal battles. Though Justin was nearly 200% to quota at work, he lost his job because he suddenly had a criminal record. 38 years old, put himself through college, All-American Division III athlete, top 5% in his officer evaluation, 2 Bronze Stars, 1 with combat valor, and in the end, my husband is judged by the fall that was beyond his control and brought on by a sacrifice he still wouldn't take back. Through it all, we had a support system that never gave up on us. We wanted to do something to pay everyone back, but we were overwhelmed. It seemed a momentous task to return favors that were so extraordinary. So we decided instead to try and pay it forward. And the idea was obvious and organic. Our dogs had saved Justin's life. We'd saved their lives when we adopted them out of shelters. We sent out letters, at least 50, probably more. And what we got back was utter silence or a very strong no, until we got a call from the Humane Society for Hamilton County. They not only wanted to help, but they sounded excited. And at our first meeting, when we told our story, we were gifted with the same lack of judgment as our sweet dogs. Perhaps it was because they work daily amongst the forgotten. Perhaps it's because they understand the desperate need for a second chance. But the Humane Society for Hamilton County opened their hearts and their wallets and said, without reservation, we can and we will do this. And oh, how they have. They've never wavered in their passion. They secured grants and sponsors. They trudged with us through the myriad of red tape that the VA hospital set forth. They never gave up on us or our dream. We've had so many successful adoptions since. We've had a veteran who no longer uses his cane to walk and no longer fears strangers on the sidewalk. And another now regularly leaves his home when before he was a prisoner, terrified of anything or anyone outside. Justin isn't here tonight. He wanted to be. But the spring is his hardest time of year, as this is when the invasion happened. He asked that I pass on this message. His demons are always lurking. They always seem close at his heels.
But just when he thinks they've caught him, he reaches out and grabs whichever dog is closest. He wants everyone here tonight to know that the support we have received from the Humane Society for Hamilton County is truly extraordinary. They don't just talk the talk. They walk the walk. An absolutely rare phenomenon, not only in the world of rescue, but in the world of veteran support. He is grateful beyond words, especially for our newest addition, a foster turned forever named Cody. More than anything through this program, Justin and I both feel hopeful, something that is often hard to come by in our world. And that's as precious as gold. Off of what I'm reading, I really want you all to know that this is real. These people, through our experiences, nobody has made us feel more at home, more comforted, and less judged than the Humane Society. They are rare, they are extraordinary. You are here for a reason. They do need you. Their pets need you. This program's amazing. There's nothing like it. And I can't thank them enough.